Who do you think is a better songwriter? Paul McCartney or Elton John? So I asked you guys that question on Threads, and this is what you said. Paul McCartney is the greatest pop songwriter of all time, literally ever. There's no question and no disagreement among the top songwriters about it. It's simply a matter of fact, not boasting. The sky is blue, and Paul is with Einstein, Darwin, Isaac Newton, Da Vinci of pop music. Cherish him while he is still with us. He is a once in a 1,000-year musical talent. Can't even disagree with that one. When Bob Dylan says he's in awe of you, you've done something right. In quotes, I'm in awe of Paul McCartney. He's about the only one that I am in awe of, but I'm in awe of him. The usually reticent Dylan told Rolling Stone in 2007, he can do it all and he's never let up, you know? Isn't Paul McCartney the most successful songwriter in terms of units sold in history? Kind of answers that question for me. Not a fair question. Elton just writes music. That's kind of a lot of the song, though. Considering Elton didn't write songs, I'm gonna go with Sir Paul. Elton wrote all of the music, though. Elton didn't write majority of his songs. How old are you? Talking to me? In response to that, someone said he wrote the music for pretty much every song he ever recorded, so he did write the majority of his songs, which is true. Songwriting means writing the music, words, or both. Given that Elton John wrote the music and the melody, he definitely wrote songs. Yeah, that's true. McCartney is a genius, but he is weaker on lyrics. Elton's early songs were very inventive melodically, particularly Rocket Man, Your Song, and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Okay, he didn't write the lyrics, but he had such terrible diction, he couldn't make them out anyway. Yeah. And George Gershwin didn't write lyrics either, but he's rightfully considered one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Besides, when do people whistle the lyrics of a song? Debatable. I get what you're saying, though. Paul McCartney, longevity of creativity and breadth of catalog. EJ by a long shot for me. Bernie Taupin writes the lyrics, Elton John writes the music. Do your research. It's still the song, though, so that doesn't make any sense. I'm very confused by these replies. Do people not know that Elton John writes music, or are y'all really under the impression that songwriting is only writing lyrics? Yeah, I think people are very confused about that. The music kind of matters more than the lyrics. And Sting kind of proved that with, what's it, do, da, da, da? That song? That's a fun story. Let's see, Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney wasn't even the best songwriter in the Beatles. Huh. Paul McCartney, and it's not even close. Keep in mind, EJ only wrote the music with extremely few exceptions. We're all aware of this. Well, a lot of people are aware of this. Your question should be framed, who's the better songwriters, Paul McCartney or Taupin/John? I don't know if that should be the question. A lot of people complain about how Taupin wrote for John, but completely ignoring the fact that Elton John was an impeccable arranger's ear. He writes the amazing chord progressions and piano parts, a great example being Tiny Dancer. Great song. Hell, the opening of Rocket Man starts out with a I-7v7, like a samba or something? I don't know how to say that. Samba, S-A-M-B-A. Cool. You'd hear in jazz. The shitting on Elton John is actually totally unwarranted, but asking me to pick between him and McCartney is criminal. That's a fair point. Neither. Just keep scrolling, my man. Depends on what you consider a song. EJ doesn't write lyrics, which for me is 75% of the song. Yeah, I totally disagree with that. Why do most people respond with dumb answers? $1 million question. No, Elton isn't the better musician or more talented than Paul McCartney. Elton may be a better pianist, but Paul is multi-instrumental and excellent at all of them. Elton did write his songs, he just didn't write the lyrics. Do you have any idea how difficult it is to compose great timeless melodies? It's kind of impossible. I'll just say very difficult, because I tried to do it also. And the perfect accompaniment, half the time Elton would bring a completed song to Bernie Taupin and ask him to write the lyrics to it. I mean, that kind of says it all. McCartney by a long shot. Elton didn't really write lyrics. How is this a question? Elton isn't a songwriter. Yes, he is. All his hits were written by Bernie Taupin. No, they weren't. Paul by nature of the breadth of styles he had inhabited and the fact that he also writes lyrics. Nor saying Monkberry Moon Delight is as profound as Levin, mind you. I don't know those. Elton is more of a composer than a writer of lyrics, which doesn't mean he's not a great performer. Nor does it mean he's not a great songwriter. I'll said it before, I'll say it again. Paul McCartney by a mile, not even close. Taupin didn't write everything. There was a long period of years where they didn't work together. I didn't even know that. During the Beatles, McCartney. After the Beatles, Bernie Taupin. He just wrote the words, people. Pretty sure. McCartney. Even Elton would agree. Are we sure about that? Paul McCartney because Elton doesn't write lyrics. Bernie does the lyrics. Elton does the music. It's still amazing music. What about the people that don't speak English? Do they have to know the lyrics? I don't think so. John Lennon and Bernie Taupin probably misspelled. This thread told me how many people incorrectly believe that songwriting exclusively mean writing lyrics, as if composing music is a separate discipline rather than being an integral part of the songwriting process. Wild. Also, it's McCartney by a mile. Elton doesn't write his songs, Bernie Taupin does, so the answer can only be Paul McCartney. False. I mean, you're comparing genius to genius, but McCartney. She still picked one. Does it need to be a competition? No, it doesn't. I think it's great they're both so very talented, they are. Both writing songs that are lifelong classics. Yeah, and they've been classics that they've been playing for years. And in the other heat, John Lennon or David Bowie? Whew, I don't know. Paul, without a doubt, he writes the music and lyrics. Elton only writes the melody, which, without the melody, you wouldn't know the song. Paul, because Elton only co-wrote songs, but he wrote the music, so why choose? You don't have to. Dumb question. Sir Paul wrote the songs. Dumb answer. McCartney is a musical prodigy with a preternatural talent for writing melodies and harmonies. He has a phenomenal talent. However, Elton John writes from the soul and has a wonderful ability to make natural melodies emerge from the rhymes and speech, since Bernie Taupin provided the lyrics first. No, I'm pretty sure there was a music first. I don't know. These days I just listen to The Who. I love The Who. Elton John didn't write his songs. Let's see what they replied here. Wrong. Yeah. Paul McCartney, he wrote music and lyrics, as Elton John only wrote music. Bernie Taupin and others wrote his lyrics. But you need the music. Paul, Elton hardly wrote anything, just music. It's like 99% of the whole thing. Elton John's the composer of music for his songs. Can't compare apples to oranges. It's no contest. Paul McCartney. Elton John, songwriter too vague, lyricist or composer. That's a good point. Composer Elton, lyricist Paul. Elton didn't write lyrics. We all know this. Sir Paul has a real gift. Yeah, he really does. And he also worked really hard with the Beatles, so... McCartney. And not just because John didn't write his lyrics. I get it. Seeing as Bernie Taupin writes all of Elton's lyrics, I'd have to say Paul McCartney, though as a team, John and Taupin have a track record for writing less granny stinkers than McCartney. Shots fired. McCartney, since Elton John doesn't write songs. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Elton. Bob Dylan. McCartney was great when paired with Lennon, post-Beatles. Once it became Sir Silly Love Songs, not so much. Pretty sure he wrote some pretty good songs after the Beatles, but alright. It's a tricky one. I don't really like Elton John, and Taupin wrote the lyrics any. However, McCartney may have written Yesterday, Hey Jude, and Penny Lane, but he also wrote the Frog Chorus, which cancels everything else out. I mean, a lot of artists wrote bad songs. That's how you get good songs. You gotta keep writing songs and then you finally get a good one. That's why they could write like 7 songs to get one. That's difficult. I think musically speaking, they're on par. Both come up with beautiful chord progressions and melodies that are memorable. Elton's tend to be more varied and complex given his more studious background, but Paul has a very unique identity on his stuff. Lyrically, Paul tends to be better than when Elton is in the writing chair, in my opinion, which wasn't all too often. Both, however, are amazing artists. Yeah. Elton John didn't write the lyrics to any of his songs, so I guess Paul McCartney by default. Missing the most of the pie there, Chief. I think Paul's songs would be better if someone else wrote the lyrics. Maybe, I don't know. McCartney, Elton didn't write lyrics. Again. Elton John, the one who wrote songs. In response to that, so both of them then? The one who actually wrote and could play all instruments on his own songs? McCarthy, hands down. McCarthy. He wrote words and music. Elton only wrote the music. Only the music. So I guess everybody just wants to just look at poetry, I guess. I mean, poetry's nice. Definitely more people listen to music, though. McCartney, Bernie Taupin wrote most of EJ's memorable songs. He was the lyricist. EJ was creating the music, which music is kind of essential. Alright, so here are the tallies. I guess a lot of people don't know that writing the music is also very important. Oh well.